Have you experienced the shift? Have you been feeling like there's something different in the air? Like there's this energy that's just swirling around in the collective and within you that is almost like awakening this dormant part of your DNA, this dormant part of something that has been long lost. It almost feels as if there is this energy that we are retrieving from our ancestors, from the ancients, the ancient wisdom that this planet was built upon. All the ancient stone structures, things like the pyramids, and all these monuments that have this magic, like Machu Picchu. They are, the wisdom from that is being brought back into our body, into our consciousness. We are beginning to step into a whole new realm of existing and being. So, I'll ask you again, have you felt a shift in your consciousness? I'm Cody, and I help people to activate their divine consciousness codes that will ignite their heart ablaze and open the door to limitless possibilities. So something I want to talk about, and something that actually really helped me at the very beginning of my awakening journey, when I got really into the occult and spirituality. I was in college. I just started my meditation journey. I actually began as there's this program that I used, and it was called Zox Pro. And what it was, you had to meditate every day in the morning and in the evening, and basically the goal was to reprogram your mind and reprogram your ability to take in information. So whenever you would read, you could essentially flip through the book, take in that information, and then be able to regurgitate it by recalling conscious memories based off of the energy that you took in. So I spent a whole summer while I was off of college, and at the end of college as well, doing this. I was meditating morning and night, and I was starting to be able to shift my consciousness. I wasn't able to tap into that, but that got me started on my journey. And it's important to just get started. And we all have that starting point, that thing that pushed us onto this new realm of exploration within ourselves. And what I wanted to talk about here is a book that truly transformed my life. It's called The Convoluted Universe by Dolores Cannon. I don't know if any of you have heard of this book, but I believe I saw it on a YouTube comment or something at the end of a video, perhaps, and I purchased it. And it's one of those, books that you purchase and you kind of have sitting on your shelves, but you don't really think you're going to read. And I was packing for college, and I had this book, and I wasn't really planning on reading it or anything, so I opened it up, and once I read the first few pages of it, I was hooked. And from that moment forward, my consciousness began to dramatically shift, because I began to open up to a whole new awareness of possibilities that I didn't see before. It was as if there was something that had been sparked within me. And in this book, it talks about what happens is Dolores Cannon is the one responsible for, you may have heard of QHHT, Quantum Healing Hypnosis Technique. She is the creator of it. She's been using this technique for, I believe, since the 80s. It's whenever she started this project. So QHHT takes people into the deepest realm of consciousness possible, and she's able to communicate with these, basically this collective consciousness that is connected to all of us, but it speaks through the voice or the fragments of each individual based off of where they've been and where their consciousness is at. So what really began to shift my perspective was the amount of open possibilities and perspectives that this book gave. It was almost as if, I felt like I was reading a fantasy, but I also felt like all of it was true, because a lot of it is based in, some might be based in other worlds, Some might be based in past lives, historical events, other dimensions. It's so many different perspectives that she's able to get through these different people. And once I started to realize the true possibility of what we're capable of, that's when I began to see, what's capable in my life. And I started to begin to step into that, and I started to begin to move into that, and begin to reality shift into something new. I began to reality shift into this new consciousness, this new way of being. And in this book, it speaks of this major shift that we are going to go through. And I believe that we have already went through that shift to some degree. I do, however, believe that there is more to come. There's more transformations still left to happen. But Dolores Cannon, she talks about there's going to be a great split. And we are going to have to make a decision. And I believe that this could be a variation of things. But after the events that have unfolded over the past few years, I believe there has been a shift in consciousness between how people perceive reality. And it's almost as if we have consciously, collectively shifted into, I'd say, two major differing perspective realities, of which we tend to surround ourselves with. And with the age of social media, it's almost as if we are able to create our own reality. We see what we want to see, we interact with who we want to interact with, and we've essentially created a whole digital world which has acted as our sense of reality. Not only that, but the people that we interact with physically, of course, are likely to share our similar beliefs. So everything that we are seeing and taking in is based off of this reality that we are perceiving, both within and without, or externally, outside of ourselves. So it speaks of, Dolores Cannon, she speaks of being able to, or sorry, not her, but the being that she's connecting with speaks of being able to shift our DNA, and we are going to go through these various shifts in consciousness. There's going to be phases, and I can honestly say over the past 10 years, especially starting in 2012 was when it really kicked off for me. I have noticed a complete and radical shift in my consciousness, in my life, in my body, in everything, in my whole being, in my whole essence, my whole thought process. Everything has shifted. And when I was in college back in 2012, that is when my diet and my health began to really shift, because I had a problem with overeating, and I would essentially regurgitate my food. I would eat so much that I would spit it up, because I would eat for the pleasure, and I would just continue to eat and eat and eat, and it got to a point where my body wouldn't be able to take it anymore, and I would have to spit it up, basically. It's really gross, but that kick-started really my journey, because I started to have to really watch what I was eating, and I started to develop allergies. I started to develop issues. I would get major bloating. I had to stop eating eggs and drinking milk. There were just things my body started to resist and reject that I had no choice but to listen to and to observe and step into that, for me to be able to heal and embody this fuller version of myself. In the Convoluted Universe, it talks about that, for us to be able to shift into this new reality, for us to make this transition, basically, because we are going through a consciousness shift. It's a collective shift in consciousness. So if you think about it from the perspective of, we'll use 3 dimensions. So the first dimension is just your basic survival reality. That's where a lot of the animals exist. The second dimension is where you begin to formulate more thoughts, more conscious thoughts of what you're creating and what you're doing. And the third reality, or dimension, I don't know what the proper word I'm trying to use here is, because words are so analogous, but it's like a state of being on our collective consciousness on the planet, basically. So the third shift is whenever we begin to fully embody this collective, almost like a hive mind, like we're able to connect to people physically, like we do on social media. Like we've created this world, this digital world through social media that acts as a web, when in reality we have the ability, and we used to have the ability back in times during Atlantis, to connect in such a way where we could communicate collectively without having to use words, because words create that vibration, but it's a physical vibration. It's a lower vibration than what a thought is. Thoughts are a higher frequency, so to speak, and in order for us to tune into the thoughts of others, or tune into even the energy of the environment, the world around us, we have to raise our frequency, raise our vibration. And whenever we step into that, we're able to connect to people in a similar way that we do with social media and the internet. We're able to access all this information, but we're able to do that physically, spiritually as well, if we learn to tap into it. And currently, we are on that cusp between the second and the third dimensional shift in consciousness. And at this stage of the game is normally where we would have destroyed ourselves in the past, because this world has been destroyed many times over. The civilizations that existed here have been destroyed many times over. And from what I understand, I believe this is the 7th incarnation, or the 7th reboot of our planet. So we are currently on this timeline shift. And there are also, I want to mention, there are powers that be that can also, they have technology, the CERN technology, to collide electrons at close to the speed of light, which can invariably create a ripple effect of energy that we have no idea what the implications are. And it's been hypothesized that can create parallel shifts in itself. And there's a theory that this whole reality that we're existing in right now, that I'm speaking to you through, is a parallel reality that we shifted into once the events of 2012 happened, and the supposed end of the world, which I believe it was speaking of more of an end of the end of the era of Pisces. We're moving more into the age of Aquarius, where we are going to have a completely different energy, a completely different shift in our consciousness, where we can communicate more effectively, where we can not only communicate more effectively physically, but energetically, where we can begin to see the world through a new set of eyes, through a more broader lens, and to be able to truly understand and feel the world around us and the people and the animals, and be able to connect in harmony with that. The golden age of civilization. And I believe that we are making this shift right now. And it's up to me and you and everybody in this collective consciousness existing right here and now to make that shift, to make that decision, to step in and be one with that energy, to evolve with it and into it, to stop running from our fears, to stop running from the things that we have been avoiding in our lives, the things that we know that we have to do. And I've been guilty of it for so many years, where I knew there were things that I had to do, but I would distract myself. I would run, I would, just create or jump to a new project, and always jumping around trying to find something new that'll take off in my life, without wanting to actually step in and do the work that I knew that I had to do to fulfill my calling. And that is what this shift is all about. Stepping in, learning to step into that energy, because that is who we are. And I believe that we can only discover our true selves once we step into that fear. Once we step in and activate that part of our consciousness, those consciousness codes. And it comes in stages. And we're going to fall back sometimes. We're going to get knocked down. And we're going to have to relive old lessons that we feel like we've already dealt with. But sometimes those are tests from the universe. And I'm learning myself that as you go through this journey, as you step in and you begin to use more of your voice, your true authentic voice, and you begin to resonate with that higher part of yourself, and you start to activate these consciousness codes within your DNA, your life will begin to shift, your mindset will begin to shift, and you will begin to see things in a completely new way. It is at that moment that you will be given the download to step into your calling. You will be given the download for what you need to do and how to do it. Maybe not even how to do it, but you'll be given guidance along the way, along each step of the journey. Once you begin to listen to that inner voice and you begin to feel that, you will begin to shift within your own life. And that, my friends, is what this shift is all about. The shift that Dolores Cannon speaks of, and so many other artists and publishers and authors and speakers. You know, I'm sure you've heard it from more than one person. I know that I have. That we are shifting into this new earth, this new shift in consciousness. And it starts with us. It starts with you. Being able to step into your true calling, your true gift, the gift that you came here to bring. And that lies only within you. Nobody else has that gift, my friends. Nobody else. You came with a unique set of skills and passions and beliefs and quirks and things that make you unique that nobody else has. And oftentimes we are shrouded in this mask. We have this mask covering that true authentic self for the entirety of our lives. And we live that way for the entirety of our life, thinking that's what we're supposed to do, thinking that's normal, or what it takes to live a happy and successful life. But as we move into this new earth energy, we will begin to see that that's not what this new world is about. The new world is about following those passions, following your heart's content, and stepping into those callings. Not shutting out that inner voice, that inner child that calls to you and speaks with you on many different forms, in many different ways. Sometimes it's a happy voice, sometimes it's a scared voice, sometimes it's sad. And it just wants you to show up for yourself, to show up for that inner child within you, to be present and at peace with the here and now. And to also allow that energy to come in. Sometimes the energy from the past or the energy of the future has to come up for us to be able to heal it. Sometimes it's residue energy left from the past that we have to work through, that we have to feel through. We still have things unresolved that we haven't let go of. Sometimes it's the future. We have anxiety about where we are heading, what we are creating, who we are becoming. And the only way to change that is in the here and now, in the present moment. That's where you have the opportunity to step in. That's where you have the opportunity to become who you came here to be, your truest and best self, and to give that gift back to the world. To timeline shift into the reality that you truly want to step into. To activate those dormant parts of your DNA that have been stagnant for so long. And it's only through a process, a series of events and activations, and working through these pre-programmed blocks that you will begin to activate these. That can only happen if you step into your fear. If you step into this unresolved trauma that you may not have dealt with. And if you step into yourself in the here and now. Another thing that I wanted to touch on is that DNA is ultimately just strands of light contained within us. And these strands of light are being expanded and altered and increased for us to be able to take in more and more light. With each infusion, our DNA grows bigger and more expansive, able to take in more light. And this infusion occurs whenever we step into those obstacles. There's a great book that I want to mention that I've read. It's The Obstacle is the Way by Ryan Holiday. It talks about pushing through those obstacles. The obstacle is ultimately where the gift lies. As Joseph Campbell speaks of, the cave we fear to enter holds the gift we wish to receive. When we step into that, our consciousness begins to shift. And we begin to shift at a molecular level, infusing our DNA with more and more light. And our bodies begin to become lighter. And we require higher sources of sustenance, better food, exercise. It requires us to meditate more and just have a better routine for us to hold this light within ourselves, within our cells, within our DNA. And when we begin to do that on a consistent and daily basis, it will truly begin to shift everything in our lives. The way we communicate, the way we see ourselves, the way we see others, the way that we see the world, the lens that we see the world through, everything begins to change. As Wayne Dyer says, when you change the way you look at things, the things you look at change. So that's all I have for you, my friends. I'm very blessed to go on this pilgrimage with you and to explore the depths of our consciousness together so that we can elevate and activate our consciousness codes collectively and shift into a whole new realm of consciousness. I'm grateful for each and every one of you being here. Thank you from the bottom of my heart. If you like this content, please like, subscribe, share. I'm also doing coaching for anybody that wants to step out and step into that fire to be able to create from their heart's content. Because I know for me, it was something I really struggled with, to push beyond the realms of my comfort zone, to truly step in to that version of myself that I wanted to be, and to create the life that I wanted. So if any of you are interested in that, I have information down below, so check that out. And other than that, feel free to comment if you have any other ideas or anything to add. If you want me to make a video, I'd love to hear your experiences with reality shifting and what you think of with everything going on. Are we moving into a new consciousness? Are we shifting into a new reality? So I would be curious to hear your thoughts on that. And thank you for everything. I love each and every one of you. Until next time, peace, love, namaste, my friends.